Hello, I'm Karma Kitaj from A Livelihood New Careers as We Age. And today we're going to talk with artist Steve Barylick. And Steve was in graphic arts and advertising for 30 years and decided to go back to a career that he started early on. So let's find out more about Steve.
Hi, Karma.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so pleased that you were able to come.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, let's see, where should we start with you? I know you told me that you got a degree in fine arts when you were in college,
Yes.
right? Yeah, so you had an interest and a talent as an artist back in the early days.
Very
right?
early on.
Yeah. Well, why don't we go back a little bit even before that? What prompted you to get a degree in fine arts?
I found myself always interested in creative things. As a young adult, very visual person.
Mm-hmm.
I had an interest in photography and art. And in high school, actually, I had an inkling of wanting to go to art college. My dad wanted me to go to some sort of a business type school and have a conventional career, but I was able to attend art college, and I'm very glad that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I took painting courses. And in graduating from the painting department, I found that I wanted to continue that career, but at the time, graduating college, I was painting murals, wall murals.
Mm.
And upon doing that, I did that for about a year or so, and then a friend of mine who was very tastefully said, it's time for you to grow up and get a real job. So I started in the advertising community and started working as a graphic artist and art director.
So you said that you ultimately decided that you had to have a real career?
Well, yes. I wanted to get married and have children, and the wall mural painting was not the path to take, and advertising certainly was. And I had a good sense of design, and some of my peers recognized that, and I was able to secure a position in an advertising agency and then move on through corporate structures and corporations and companies and hone my skills at advertising and marketing and art and creative direction, which I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah. So what would you say you enjoyed about those kinds of jobs?
Working with the very talented people that I had associated with, I learned a lot. I was able
within the agencies?
Well, people within the agency or within the corporate environment that I was working in. Most of my career was spent working for corporations rather than ad agencies.
We have some of your photos up on the screen right now of, I guess, projects you were involved in, huh?
Yeah. Well, Zildjian, I'm a drummer, and I enjoyed doing that work. That was through a company that I started with a partner, and did a lot of work as a consultant as well, doing things for Dags, was a company in New York City that's a very famous grocery store, and I just enjoyed it. I did a project for Zoo New England, which was very fun to do as well, and a variety of work in the travel industry, which I enjoyed the most because I get to travel.
So it sounds like you're saying that by and large, you were doing some really interesting stuff for 30 years, huh?
I did, and I think that helped to hone my design skills, which have transferred to my painting and to my art. And I look at my art as being well designed as well as very painterly, and I find that to be very pleasing to me as an artist.
Yeah. Do you think it's quite different from what you used to do when you were
very different.
in your 20s?
Yeah, very different. The art that I do now is very free and very...
We have examples.
Yeah, this particular piece is called Approaching Heaven. And I use my white space as my negative space. I use a lot of white space on my canvases. And I paint using a variety of techniques. That particular painting has a lot of glazes that are built up to create the dark blues that are at the top. I use a lot of paint that's mixed out of 3 primary colors with painting knives, and then the squiggles with squeeze bottles. I've got about 150 different colors of plastic squeeze bottles that I do the very free lines. So the painting is very free and loose. There are no barriers or boundaries. Where in advertising, there were always barriers and boundaries to work with that made the work creative and challenging. But within the painting world, the barriers and boundaries are ones that I would create, not necessarily what other people are saying I have to live within. So it's revealing that I'm able to work with that type of lack of constraint, and that I'm having some success at doing that. It's fun.
Yeah, so I'm interested in going back to your transition.
Okay.
Because that's what we focus on in A Livelihood. And you told me that after 9/11 you got laid off.
Yes, I was working for a travel company at that time as their director of creative services. And being involved with the company at the level I was in, I saw that the travel bookings had dropped off significantly, and that cancellations were skyrocketing. And I realized that a position such as mine would be very short-lived in the company. And sure enough, I was laid off, and I freelanced for a while, and I enjoyed that. But I realized that at some point I'd like to get back to either my musical roots or my painting.
So, I'm curious, just to back up a little bit. So when you were laid off, I imagine that was a really difficult time, as it would be for anybody.
It was.
Do you remember, having some self-doubts or?
Very much so. I mean,
what was that like?
After having done something for such a long period of time, it was a serious blow to my self-esteem and self-confidence. It was also a very significant turning point as to what did I want to do next, what could I do next. I loved my job. I loved doing the creative work that I was doing, and I loved working with the people that I was working with. All very talented people.
It was a real loss for you on many levels.
It's a loss of a fraternity of creative people. It's a loss of sense of self within that environment. And all of a sudden you're going to an office, and you have the camaraderie of all these individuals, and the next day you're staring at 4 blank walls, wondering what to do next. So
how long did it take you to sort of reestablish your sense of yourself again?
It took about 3 weeks. It's a very short time period.
My goodness.
Because I had a very strong sense of my self-worth, of my talent level and my ability. And after about 3 weeks, I stopped feeling sorry for myself and said, I've got to go out and call a few of my associates and contemporaries out there and see if they can refer me to anybody. And sure enough, a couple of people were waiting for me to do that and saying, okay, I can refer you to so-and-so, and this might be a lead for you. And shortly I found myself doing some creative work, and it got the ball rolling for me, and I was very fortunate that happened.
But now I think you've segued into doing your own artwork.
Yes.
Completely, right?
Yeah. About 2 years ago, I left the advertising world completely behind and realized that I really wanted to focus on being a painter, which and an artist, which I wanted to be since my college days. My major at Mass College of Art, which is where I went, which is called Mass Art now, was painting. And that was my love back then, and became my love all over again. And it's a passion, and I'm enjoying it tremendously.
Well, we're going to have to wrap things up, and this has been really interesting.
Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you.